The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello and welcome to another great webinar from CPA Academy. My name is Autumn and I'll be your moderator for today's webinar on Stop the Chaos, How to Unify Your Bookkeeping Practice Team. Our presenter today is Gabrielle Fontaine and Jordan Vickery from Pixie. Before we get started, I wanted to go through some housekeeping items and do some technical checks to make sure everything is working. First, if y'all don't mind going to the Go to Webinars Questions tab on the control panel and letting me know that you can hear my voice and see the title slide. Feel free to also let me know where you're chiming in from. Always enjoy seeing that. Everyone calling in from around the country. And if anyone has any technical issues, please let us know in the questions panel. I'll do my best to get around to all of you as quickly as I can. This is also where you can put your questions and comments for the presenters. Let's check in here. I see some coming in from Indiana and Texas. Welcome, welcome. Great. Now that I know that everything is working, let's go through some housekeeping. This is a 1-hour webinar and qualifies for 1 CPE credit. The way you earn that credit is fairly straightforward. Just stay logged in for 50 minutes of our allotted time and answer the poll questions. We'll have 4 polls, and to earn full credit, you need to answer at least 3 of them. If you're on a mobile device, you might need to click your answer a few times and scroll down to find that submit button. And if you have to log out and log back in for any reason, our system will keep track of your time. I wanted to let you know that we are recording today's webinar, and the archive, along with your CPE credit, will be available in your CPA Academy account within 24 hours. We also recommend that you download today's presentation materials, which can be found in the Control Panel's Handouts tab. Now that we're all set, let's welcome our presenters. Gabrielle, the floor is all yours.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Autumn, and welcome everybody. We are glad to have you here, and hopefully together we will tackle this topic of stopping the chaos and making our bookkeeping practice, our team, and our workflow smoother and more peaceful. That's our plan. So let's jump right in and cover our agenda of what you're going to learn today. First, we're going to talk about the 4 key areas of effective practice management. Also, a simple system for bookkeeping practice success. Also, we'll go through the steps of how to stop the chaos. I'm very pragmatic. I like to see us do something as a result of the time we spend together because we want to streamline the practice and get some peaceful, less stress in running the business. Also, some best practices for unifying your team and workflow. We'll have a Pixie demo, which is going to tie this all together, and then your questions answered. So as Autumn had mentioned, go ahead and any questions that come to mind as we go through this class, go ahead and put them into the questions box, and then we will have a section near the end of the webinar and answer your questions live. And then we'll do a final wrap up so that you will know exactly what to do once we are at the end of this presentation. So if you have never been to any of the classes that I've done before, my name is Gabrielle Fontaine, and I run my own bookkeeping business as well. I've been doing so for a long time. I'm, yes, pretty old. I've also been a 100% virtual since 2003, and I am in the QuickBooks Pro Advisor world. So if you use QuickBooks, yes, my business is actually 100% QuickBooks Online, but it's been virtual. We've got to this point so much easier to be virtual at this point. And I'm also involved with the Digital Bookkeeper Association and speak often on webinars as well as conferences. And as they start to come back, those will be on in-person conferences as well. And I'd like to introduce to you also from Pixie, Jordan Vickery. So welcome, Jordan.
Thanks, Gabrielle. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the webinar. My name's Jordan. I'm the co-founder and head of marketing here at Pixie. As you can probably tell by my accent, I'm not based in the USA. I'm actually based in the UK, just about 2 hours north of London. So I'm nestled away quietly in the countryside, away from all the busyness of the city. It's quite nice here, actually. The sun's just setting at the moment. It's just gone past 6 p.m. Really looking forward to sharing some practical ideas with you in this session about how you can improve your practice and streamline the way that you work, and also to show you Pixie and demonstrate how that can really help to make things easier for you as well.
And in fact, we spoke about it before we started the session. Do you want to turn on your camera just for a minute so we can say hello? I mean, it's nice to see pictures, but it's nice for us to say hello to everybody that's here who's taken the time.
There we go, I'm on this camera.
So here we are, just say hi. But we're going to turn them off today because we don't want to kill the bandwidth. And I know that some people, depending on the device that you're using, we want it to be as smooth as possible for you. So with that, let's jump into our topic, which is about dealing with the chaos. And that comes up when we get into a busy time. And when that happens, we really learn how well our practice is running or not. So what we're going to do right now is find out from you what challenges you have been facing, because if you're primarily a bookkeeping firm, we're coming off of a busy time of year. So we'd like to have you finish this question of the current or just past busy season revealed what about your practice. And I'm going to launch the poll so that you should see it come up on your screen, and just pick whichever answer seems to fit your experience the best. And we like to hear and see what you're up against. And of course, if there's something on there that doesn't seem to fit your situation, you can always use the questions box as well to fill that in. And of course, this goes towards your CPE credits if that's what you're looking for as well. So we have 78% of the vote in so far. And we'll leave it open for a few seconds as you get settled in. And we're going to close it down very soon. And we have 93%. If you aren't in, now is the time to vote. We're going to close it down in 3, 2, and 1. And we will share the results and see where is everybody at. And Jordan, I'm going to pull you in. Do you have any thoughts on this, on what we're up against? Does this seem typical to what you see for bookkeeping firms?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not surprised by information requests from clients being the biggest challenge there, because clients are difficult at the best of times, and trying to get information in from them on a timely basis without wasting time phoning and emailing them every second of the day is a real challenge. But hopefully a little bit later on, we'll be able to show you some ways that you might be able to streamline that process.
Yes, yes, excellent. And good responses and good participation. That's not the only poll. We have several more for you. So stay engaged and you'll get the most out of this. So thank you very much for participating. And yes, I have said for years that the biggest problem often is clients. And I say that tongue in cheek because it means often we have to work with them and get them to give us information. So yes, that is typically the biggest problem for most bookkeeping firms. So if that's your issue, you are in good company. So let's talk about the 4 key areas. I call these the 4 key areas of practice management. And it's really why the chaos happens there's much overlap in these 4 areas of capacity, communication, consistency, and control. So you'll see that there's some bleeding of them together as we go through this, but it's a structure that will help us to focus in if there are sticking points beyond just getting information from clients. We know that that's often the case, but let's take a look at what else is going on in our practice, especially when the pressure is on, to really kind of unpack what is it that causes the frustration, causes confusion, so that we can handle that and make it so that we have a far more efficient and pleasant bookkeeping practice. So we're going to go through each of these, first of all, to take a look at how they can factor in if we're having issues. So capacity issues often show up, especially on busy season, despite technology. And we keep hearing like, oh, bookkeeping is going to be totally automated by AI and so forth. But somehow, while it's compliance level work, it still is very time intensive. And often that's because we have to have the interaction with the clients. There may be information that has missing pieces so that we can't book it properly. And it can become much like this glass of water that is that totally full or not? It's splashing over, it's been disrupted, and that's the way it can be for us when we're trying to handle so much going on during busy season. And we know that not only do existing clients start giving us more work maybe, or lots of extra questions that they need help with, but then new clients seem to come out of the woodwork. And while we know it's quote unquote busy season, we may not be able to predict when it's going to happen. Sometimes there's a lull in busy season, and then we're like, oh, okay, this is all right. Maybe we can have a nice smooth period. And then all of a sudden, everything shifts within the matter of a day or two. So it can be a rocky ride. And especially since this year and last year, 20 and 21, have been especially challenging because we've had the pandemic on top of it, and then all the things that go with it. Naming, especially in the US, PPP loans. That keeps changing, and clients need help. Our existing clients need the support. They may be facing challenges, and they're going to come to us. They need information to submit to get those loans. Also, the employment retention credit. That's been something that's like, do they take it? Do they not? What are the ramifications? And they may be coming to us asking for help with that. And as I said, the rules keep changing. In fact, as of the time of this webinar, just last week, there were changes in the PPP loans. And we know that this second round of the loans, the deadline for applying for them is supposed to be March 31st. Well, that might change within the next few days. They're talking about it being moved to May 31st. So that continues to change, and they change some of the rules if you have sole proprietor clients. So that's the kind of stuff that your clients are going to be coming back to you and saying, hey, well, how does this affect me, or what happens? And you're in the busy season of getting other things, the normal work done, and you have to drop it to support your clients. That can be really frustrating and cause capacity issues and getting you to be in a flurry, drop some balls. And then there's also the question, often with capacity, we say there's not enough hours in the day at certain times of year, but how much can our team actually handle? And especially when this unexpected work may come in, things shift quickly, and sometimes we really have no clue. How many clients can we handle? How many hours are our people available to work? And we're not sure about matching all of that up. And it can feel like Russian roulette. When a new client comes our way, we'll be like, I don't want to say no, but do we have the capacity? And if we don't have the capacity and we take that client in, and are we going to make a bad impression because we're just running around here like chickens with no head? What do we do? And that is the chaos that can make us crazy in the world of capacity. But then it spills over into communication issues. And communication is one of the most important factors that is tied to your business success. And it's because communication internally with your team as well as with your clients. And without timely communication, we know that problems will ensue, and that's part of it. We look at it from the client side. We may request for information and they're not giving it back to us. What does that do? It messes us up, messes up our schedules, gets us frustrated. We hate to babysit the client. We're chasing them. So we know it happens with the clients. Well, it can happen the other direction too, when we're not responsive with them, or internally when we don't know what's going on. So things can fall through the cracks, get delayed. Team members might not be sure of what is most important to be working on right now when we're really busy. Deadlines can get missed. And then clients, of course, are frustrated. It can do a hit on our reputation. Maybe they're not going to be referring their friends to us or their colleagues. And then, as I often hear, if you go in the social discussion groups, especially in the bookkeeper groups, often it does sound like the clients are the enemy. And when you think about it, the purpose of our practice is to support small businesses and help them. They're really not the enemy. Without them, we don't have a business. So communication can work against what everybody is trying, bad communication, what everybody is trying to accomplish. So it gets very emotional when the communication is just not working. So the small issues that come up often might be very small, but when frustration is high and deadlines are looming, small problems can suddenly become large problems that need urgent attention. And of course, if you're the leader of your team or of your practice, that's going to fall to you to make sure it gets handled. So there's a whole lot of stress there. And the bigger your team is, the more the communication issues grow. And to illustrate this, we have from Daniel Priestley's book, 24 Assets. I thought it was very interesting. In fact, Jordan was the one who referred me to this, but I had always been aware that the more people on your team, you would think that, oh, you add one more person here, one more person there, and it just slowly grows as far as, you know, how much has to be handled and the communication. Well, this shows that it's exponential. With only 8 people on a team, there are 28 lines of communication, which means there are 28 different directions where things could get miscommunicated or broken, so the communication doesn't happen. And we could see that it's like a ripple effect. It's like that drop that goes into the water and then it spreads out. So communication has a big effect on how smoothly your practice runs, how happy everybody is, and how much work can get done in a timely fashion. Then our next area is consistency. An important factor as your practice grows as well, because as your practice grows, if you started off as a sole practitioner, it might not have been an issue, you know, because you knew what was going on and it was fine. You might have brought one other person on. Okay, it's not a big deal. As your team grows, we say communication changes exponentially. Well, so does consistency and quality get all foggy. In fact, you're going to lose some quality if things take a natural course, because your team is going to do things differently unless otherwise you have this under control. And when the pressure is on, when it's busy time, that all gets amplified because everybody's chasing deadlines. They're trying to get things done as quickly as possible, as easily as possible. And what that is a sign of, if that's happening in your practice, is that your workflow is not working. And some people will tell me, look, Gabrielle, you know, we don't really have a workflow. Well, the reality is you do. Everybody does. If your business is operating, you have workflow. It just might not be documented. And when it's not documented, when it's only in your mind or in the mind of your team members, that's when everything starts to get off the rails and isn't consistent, the quality of the work that's being done for clients, and it spills over into the communication. None of it is consistent. So we see that there's no standardization. And I've also run into bookkeeping firms where they've been on board. Okay, we're going to document our workflows. We're going to get a handle on this. We're even going to try to standardize things. And it's a big job for them. They invest a lot of time. And then once it's done, they put it aside and everybody says, oh yeah, we're going to keep doing this. And then as things change, because business is not static, it shifts and molds. The clients shift and mold. We're not updating our documented workflows. They become out of date. Nobody's following them. And of course, that can happen depending on how you set it up with the team, that you might have beautifully documented, even standardized workflow, but nobody wants to follow it. They're like, I know how to do my job. I do it the best way I can. But that might not be the same way that a different team member who's supporting either the same or other clients does it. And now you've got consistency issues too. And then also, the technology, is it helping us or is it hurting us? Sometimes it seems in some practices you need to hire a full-time admin person just to keep the technology, the tracking systems up to date. And that's kind of counterproductive, because if it's all on a spreadsheet, it gets forgotten, and now that's not useful either. So the result is your reputation will suffer, internal morale will have problems, and ultimately it's going to hit the profit margin. And then finally, on the control issues, this is primarily for you if you are the leader of your firm, staying on top of the pulse, what's happening in your practice. And it can be a delicate balance, because usually you're the one in charge of making sure everything's working well, but you're also bringing in new clients, you're in charge of the strategic goals. And then if there are client problems, because of any of these other issues of capacity or communication or consistency, the buck stops with you, and you have to make sure it gets handled and solved. So that kills you, and then you don't have time to do planning and strategic work or doing the marketing. So do you have a sense of what's really going on in your practice? Are deadlines being hit? Are sales, profit, and cash flow where they're supposed to be? And are your systems and people working smoothly, harmoniously with the clients, or is there a lot of chaos and frustration. These are all important areas to look at. And in fact, I'd like to hear from you to know, where do you feel that most of the challenges that you have in your practice, and nobody's perfect, we all have challenges for sure. I'm going to launch this second poll and get your thoughts on what's the situation in your practice. What are the areas where you feel some of the chaos or frustration may be coming from? And again, pick the answer that fits you best. And if you don't feel you have issues in any of those areas, go ahead, use the questions box. Tell us where you think the real issues lie in your practice. And we have 81%. You guys are voting quicker. That's great. And we will close down in just a few seconds. Want to make sure everybody has a chance to vote. And again, it's because CPE, but also because we really want to hear from you. We want to know. That helps us to go through this content. And we can close it down in just a few more seconds. We have 90% of the vote in. We'll close it down in, and we see 4% who said that something else. So go ahead, if you're in that 4%, go ahead and put it into the questions box. What area do you really feel that you're being challenged in your practice? And I'm going to close this out in 3, 2, and 1. And we'll share the results. So most everybody says communication, which I'm actually glad to hear that, because communication, I feel, is one of the biggest problems on the planet. It's why we have issues in many areas of life, not just in business. So sharp crowd here to recognize that, but also everybody, I should say each of these areas has those who recognize that it's a major challenge. So thank you for sharing what you're up against. It's helpful, and I think you're going to enjoy what we have as we go through the rest of this, because now we get to shift to the other side. How can we stop this chaos and bring some peace and unity to your practice and your team? So first is, systems are the solution. And I say it's a bold statement that really all sustainable success in your practice is going to be based on systems, otherwise known as structure. Because without systems, we can't make progress. And in fact, specifically for bookkeeping, double entry bookkeeping is a system, right? And did you know that it's actually been around since early medieval times in the Middle East? It didn't even start in Italy. Most of us know about Luca Pacioli, who came up with the formula of assets equal liability plus equity. But the reason that double entry bookkeeping has endured through the ages is because it is relatively simple. I mean, for most of the time that it's been around, it was all done on paper and pencil by hand. So it's reasonably simple in the sense that there are rules and structure to follow. Well, same when dealing with what the challenges are that we're facing, because the most successful systems are going to include simplicity. It's something that we can repeat again and again. So the simple system for bookkeeping practice success that we believe is PPT. It's people plus processes plus technology will unify the effectiveness of your practice. So what we're going to go through is look at these 4 key management areas and apply the PPT system. So getting a handle on your capacity, this one is always a tricky one, but when we look at the people that you have on your team, are the right people in the right seats? Are we playing to the strengths of our team? Because often we may hire someone for one particular function, but then we find that they really excel in a certain area that may be outside their job responsibilities. Well, maybe we could move them around. In fact, I have a bookkeeping practice who I'm a consult with, and she's doing exactly this because she felt like she had too much business, but she didn't want to hire more people. So she was just trying to figure out how can we get more efficiency. So she took a look at what were the strong points, and she's shifting the way her workflows work to put the people who are best at what they do. In her case, it's with onboarding, have a dedicated onboarding person who before wasn't. She had each bookkeeper doing the onboarding and then holding on to the bookkeeping client and serving them. She's changing her structure. That's an example of how she is actually increasing her capacity using the same team members by putting the right people in the right seats. And then, of course, in her case, she was also looking at her processes. So to see what way she could have capacity by looking at how many hours are available for her team, and then how much are each client, existing client, demanding of them, and then comparing those numbers. And you can be as complicated or as simple as you want, but I'd recommend, if you're the leader of your practice, sit down and look at these numbers, gather the information, and take a look, compare how much available work time is there, how much on average does each of your existing clients take up, and I do it over a year period of time, and then see how are you doing on capacity. That's a way to figure out, do we actually have more hours, but we're not being especially efficient. There might be hidden capacity in your practice. So we say we take the difference of those two numbers and the average client production, meaning how much are your team actually producing, and then that should tell you whether or not you have capacity to take on new clients, or if there's ways to improve internally your effectiveness. And of course, technology is a big help with that. But in this case, when you're just crunching the numbers to get a handle on capacity, a simple spreadsheet can do this for you. So you just want to take time to do this if capacity seems to be an issue. But when you look at the bottom line, you're like, I don't think we can afford to hire more people. Then with communication, which we said, and most everybody here said that is at least some level an issue, the majority here said it's the main issue. So we want to consider the needs of, because we have so many ways of communicating nowadays, especially with technology. We want to look at, do you have a virtual team? Do you have an on-site team? Do you have an on-site team that's working from home? How is the communication working? What would work better for each person as well? And is there training even that may be needed? And then we also want to look at our clients, because as we said early on, that a lot of times it's the disconnect between us and the clients, and I see this all the time. Bookkeepers generally want to communicate by email, but our clients might not. Our clients might need a phone call. So we have to pay attention to what is the preferred communication for our clients, so that then we can have smoother and more effective communication between the clients and our team as well. And of course, that goes right into processes as well. We want to be able to make it easy on everyone concerned. So can we put structure in place that will facilitate this, make it more effective and convenient, because we know that will make everybody's life easier. And an easy way to do that is with, especially for bookkeepers who are busy, to try to remember all the little communication things we need to do, especially when we're introverts, most of us, using communication templates that are either from email, text, or even phone scripts that may be used. And can we set up any kind of automation with that as well? Or scheduling. If you don't have automation tools that you could use, you could schedule it so that we're reaching out on a regular basis. In fact, that's becoming more proactive with our clients as opposed to being reactive, and that lifts your whole quality up as well. And I mentioned technology. We want to know, how are we communicating internally? Do we have tools that are helping to make that easier? Because many of us live and die on email. Is something else helpful that we could use? And as well with Zoom, is something very popular now because of the pandemic. Maybe we need to see each other too, because we are social creatures. Seeing each other often can help with the communication in making things go more smoothly. So having regular meetings between our team, having regular meetings with our clients, but keeping them effective. So finding the structure, the process, and then adding the technology. And I would say even in this realm, you can use some automation as well. And then supporting our consistency, again, with the people, keeping our team and value missions together, all of that together. I said that wrong. But our team needs to be aligned with what your business is about, because sometimes you'll find that friction happens because we have differing values. Find out what their strengths are. Find out if they're on board with what your business is all about. Why does it exist? And then you also want to support them in that. Also with processes, as we mentioned, standardizing them, but it doesn't have to be a big, long, drawn out way. You can use simple checklists that will represent the flow of the work that needs to be done. And ideally, you have a niche focus in your practice, but even if you don't, you can still use checklists that are standardizing the work that is done for each client or each type of client if you have a general practice. But set up simple checklists that will keep your workflow more consistent and the work quality more consistent, and it makes it easier on your team as well, because then they know exactly what to do and what needs to do. So get the buy-in from your team, have them help you put together your workflows as well, so that it's a group activity. That helps prevent the pushback if you're trying to implement standardization, that get it to be a team activity and not just something you dictate to them. And then with the technology, ideally, you want this in your practice management to have it built in. But I'll tell you, there aren't a lot of choices, which now we start hinting at what I love most about Pixie is having built-in workflow. But even if you are using practice management that really just doesn't work that way, there is also workflow specific software, which is what I used to use, that can be used. But again, then you're using a lot of different tools, which may make it a little difficult to make everything work together smoothly. And then finally, on the control, looking at people, we hinted at this several times, that you want to focus on the strengths, make sure you have the right people in the right seats, but then also find out what are their goals, which will feed into making sure that they're aligned with your values and your mission as a company. And then support them, help them win and reach their career goals as well. Don't treat your people as just a cog. If you do this, they're going to help you to make sure everybody's moving in the right direction together. It makes it a whole lot easier to know what's going on in your business. And then also the clear reporting above the work that's being done. What's the status? Are we paying attention to that, or do we just abdicate the work? As leaders, if we want control and to improve communications as well, we want to keep a tab on what's going on in our business. And we want to be tracking trends over time. What direction is the business? We know these are strange times. We want to know, are we increasing? Are we decreasing? Do we have small issues that are going to get bigger? Keep an eye on all of this. And the technology, again, can help us so that we can pay attention. Of course, we're bookkeepers, but do we have a budget ourselves? Do we have cash flow? We have these capabilities in the software, and that's going to help you to make sure that your practice is going in the right direction. And then finally, we want unified practice management. If you're not using practice management software, if you're only using project management, it's time to step up a bit, because it's going to help you have much better control over your business. And also it's going to help you to use less apps. And I always advocate fewer apps are better. So we covered a lot. I jammed that into you. We have one more poll here on this. We have couple other polls, but this is the poll regarding these different areas now of using that PPT structure. What area do you want to focus on first in your practice? We said that communication was important, but now using the PPT structure, do you see whether it's people or processes or technology or something different? We always want to hear ideas and how others are thinking as well. But go ahead and vote on that and let us know where you're at. And we have 79% of the vote in. And if you're multitasking, come on back and vote so that we can hear which area would you like to focus on in your practice. And then we can close this down in a few more seconds. We seem to be at 92%. Anybody else? Go ahead and vote. And then we'll close it down in 3, 2, last chance, 1. And I'm going to share this, and I want to hear from you, Jordan, on this. So number one is processes, but close behind are people as the areas we want to focus on. Any thoughts on this, Jordan? Tell me, because you're behind the scenes and seeing what's going on in a lot of bookkeeping practices.
Yeah, I absolutely agree that processes should be the first and foremost focus area, just because oftentimes throwing more people at a problem doesn't help it. It can sometimes make it worse. And actually, what you need instead of more people is just better processes, because with better processes in place, your existing people can work more efficiently, and then you can bring more people on and get them to use the processes that you've put in place. So, yeah, I absolutely agree with people here that processes should be the first focus area.
Yep, I completely agree as well. Because if you can get your processes, as Jordan said, you get your processes set up first, it's going to be a much smoother, more effective, less time-consuming onboarding for any new team members that you bring on. And it's going to be a better experience for them too, to get up to speed more quickly if you have your processes in place. So bravo, everybody, on recognizing that. But yes, people are also a big challenge for sure, no question about it. So just want to give you a couple best practices for unifying your team and workflow. Keep things simple. It's always better for it to be simple. Remember, that's why double entry bookkeeping has been around for so long. It's relatively simple. Also support your team's strengths, get the right people in the right seats, focus your workflow and automation on low value tasks as soon as possible. That's going to get you efficiency more quickly, and then you can move up to more sophisticated. And an example of that would be with client reminders to get that information that you need. And I will say that I do that myself, is I have automated reminders on typical things that I need from my clients each month. I don't have to remember to remind them. I have it set up automatically to go out and send reminders to them, and they work. 99% of the time, the clients now are used to getting those reminders, and that causes them to give me what they need to give me. Also, keep your technology as lean as possible. You want as few apps as possible because, again, remember the complication. The more apps, but very similar to the communication, because apps have to communicate and people have to make the apps work together if they're not integrated. If you have fewer apps, you have fewer chances of your system breaking down. So you want to choose your apps wisely so that they're serving your workflow and serving your needs. And also, why do I recommend Pixie? I'm using Pixie myself in my own practice. I was thrilled. It felt like the heavens opened and the angels started singing when I found Pixie. And the reason why I truly felt that way, because I have for years looked for a practice management software that is designed for the small practitioner. Most of them are built for larger accounting firms, and they're too labor intensive to keep them up to date. The other reason is because Pixie is focused on workflows, standardizing and documenting your workflows. So that together, to me, is a game changer with Pixie. It also has replaced several different apps that I was trying to cobble together. So hence why I'm excited about Pixie. And that's why we're gonna show you a demo of Pixie as well, because we really, if we unify our own practice, our team will get to keep our team members longer, our clients will be happier, and our businesses will keep growing. So Jordan, please tell us a little bit about Pixie and how it helps us to deal with the chaos.
Thank you very much, Gabrielle. Before I jump in and start telling you all about Pixie, actually, I'd really appreciate it if you could just go to the chat box or the question box, whichever's easiest, and just type in there very quickly and let me know what, if anything, are you currently using to manage your practice. So that's things like tasks, deadlines, client information, workflows, files. Are you using one app? Are you using multiple apps? If you can just type that into either the chat or the question box, just to give me a quick pulse on who's here and the types of technology that you may or may not be already using. Cool, so I can see somebody using BigTime.
And it's okay to mention if you're using like spreadsheets too. Or,
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, we see Excel.
Excel checklists. Yep. QBO tasks. Great. Okay. Thank you for sharing, everybody. Really appreciate this. Any others that are willing to share? Can see one or two more coming in using an Excel spreadsheet. Pro system practice management. Great. Okay. Thank you very much for sharing, everybody. So to give you some background, Pixie is a practice management and workflow application that has been designed specifically for small accounting and bookkeeping teams. It's one app where you can manage pretty much most of your, if not all of your kind of practice. So instead of using multiple apps like Gabrielle mentioned to cobble everything together into one place, Pixie brings it all together into one place. So you've got your emails, you've got your tasks, you've got your files and your clients and your workflows. That's all together within Pixie, instead of having to jump between different apps to find different pieces of information. You can also use Pixie to really easily stay up to date. So one of the 4 C's that Gabrielle mentioned was control. And a big part of control is just having that visibility over everything that's going on in your practice. And it's very difficult to have that level of visibility and level of control if you're having to go between different apps and spreadsheets and speak to different people in your team to get that information. So with Pixie, you've got all of that together in one place, which makes it really quick and really easy to stay up to date and take a really quick pulse on everything that's happening. And last but by no means least, one of the biggest kind of benefits of Pixie is that you can really, really get started fast. So Gabrielle already mentioned that some of the other applications out there take weeks, if not months, to set up. You have to go on training courses and devote weeks to figure out how to build certain things. Pixie is not like that. We built Pixie for practitioners that are kind of time poor. You don't have a lot of time to invest into setting apps up. Maybe you're not entirely comfortable or tech savvy, you're still kind of learning your way around the cloud accounting, cloud bookkeeping systems, and still getting used to using that kind of technology. This is what Pixie's been designed for. It's been designed to help you get started fast. And one of the things that we have in there to really help you get moving fast is a library of pre-made workflow templates. These cover things like bookkeeping, payroll, onboarding, taxes, sales, marketing, you name it. We've got all of those workflow templates in there to help get you started. So I'm just going to put a link into the chat box. So if anyone wants to check Pixie out, you can do. But if I can share my screen now, Gabrielle, that would be really helpful, please.
Yeah, it would be useful, wouldn't it?
Great. So can you just let me know if you can see Pixie on my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Perfect. So the way that I'm going to show you around Pixie today is by highlighting those 4 C concepts that Gabrielle spoke about earlier. And the first of the C's that I want to focus on is communication. One of the things that you have in Pixie that other applications don't have, and you definitely don't have this in a spreadsheet, that's for sure, is the ability to integrate your email inbox. And when you integrate your email inbox into Pixie, a few things are going to happen. The first is that Pixie will automatically prioritize your emails for you. So instead of opening up your computer first thing and having this dreaded feeling of scrolling through 99 plus emails and trying to figure out which ones are from clients and which ones are from suppliers and which ones are personal and which ones is just marketing or junk that you don't need to respond to, you don't have to do any of that. Straight away, you know that these 3 emails in this priority inbox here are the ones that have been sent to you by clients or are related to client work. You don't need to set up any fancy rules. You don't need to create any fancy folders. Pixie does all of that automatically for you. The first thing that you can do when an email comes in is that you can view it, and if you want to, you can respond directly from inside Pixie. So instead of having to jump between applications, you can literally start managing your entire email inbox from inside Pixie itself. Once you're in here, you can also find out a little bit more about the client that's emailed you. All you need to do is click on these 3 dots in the top right corner, view client details, and that's going to take me straight to that client's record where I've got all the information about that particular client. And one of the tabs along here is emails. So I know that a number of people, what they do when it comes to organizing emails is that they create different folders in their inbox. So you might have a folder for client number 1 and client number 2 and client number 3, and maybe you organize them there automatically, or maybe you've got some rules set up, but Pixie's going to do this for you. So as soon as an email arrives from one of your clients, we recognize that it's been sent by a particular email address, we move it to the client's record, and we save it there. And this is really beneficial for a couple of reasons. First of all, it gives you that control and that visibility over the communication that's been sent or you've been sent from your clients. What this also does is it opens up the communication from your team members as well, because if anybody's listening here and you've got members of your team that have started emailing clients on your behalf, to request information or to send them details about things, one of the biggest concerns as the practice owner is not having the visibility over those emails that are going out. So what you get in Pixie is complete visibility over all of the emails that have been sent or received to clients from anybody in your team. So this inbox here on this particular client record is any email that this client has sent to me or anybody else in my team. So straight away, it opens up that email inbox for everybody to see. Another thing that you can do when an email comes in is that you can turn it into a task, because often when clients are emailing you, just like you can see in this instance here, they're asking you to do something for them. And leaving that email in your inbox to manage is a really, I guess, dangerous way of managing things, because it's very easy to miss emails and forget about them and let them fall through the cracks. So by turning your emails into a task, you just click on this button. That's now been turned into a task. You can see it here at the top with a deadline. If I then click into the task, I click onto emails, I've got that email there as a reference point saved to the actual task. What I can also do at this point is now apply an existing task template, and I'm moving slightly into the consistency phase here, but I just want to show you this very quickly. If I click on these three dots and apply existing template, I'm just going to find a template for payroll new employee, which I know that I've got here somewhere. Click apply. And straight away, literally in seconds, I've got an entire process to follow here, including email templates to send to my client, which makes me confident that the communications going out to my clients is consistent. I've got processes here that are completely customizable with checklist boxes. You can embed videos, you can add PDFs, you can add training videos, and the whole process is here ready for you or your team to complete straight off the back of that email. One of the kind of final pieces of the communication puzzle in terms of emails is being able to build more of those email templates so that you can really standardize the communication that's going out to your clients. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move into the consistency part of Pixie and show you how you can create some really consistent processes and workflow templates that include things like emails that you can send out to your clients. So if I go to settings and go to task templates, you'll see here that I've got a long list of task templates for a number of different services. And all of these are available completely free of charge, except for one or two premium ones in this workflow template library here, which is publicly available on our website. Every single template in this library, you literally download it, you do one click, it imports into your Pixie workspace, and you've got that there as a process to use. So if I selected the USA here as a filter, I've got a number of templates, including onboarding templates, end of year payroll templates, forecasting templates if you use Fathom, as well as some more simple regular templates like payroll and bookkeeping. Once you bring those templates into Pixie, and I'm just going to pick monthly bookkeeping here as an example, there are a few things that you can do with it. The first is that you can set this process to recur automatically in the background depending on how often you do this particular task. So bookkeeping is something that I'm going to be doing on a monthly basis. So the way that I've currently got this configured is to start on the first Monday of every month. It recurs every 1 month afterwards, and the deadline might be something like 21 days later. You can really customize this as much as you like. If you do weekly bookkeeping, you just change that to start every Monday. It recurs every week, and the deadline is 5 days later on the Friday, for example. So it's incredibly flexible in terms of how often you want these processes and how often you want these tasks to recur. But if I just change it back to monthly for now, the next step is where you start to build out what that process looks like. And I know that a number of you in that poll earlier highlighted that one of your biggest challenges was getting information in from clients. And this is something I hear time and time again. So you'll be pleased to know that as part of the automated emails that you can build into your processes in Pixie, you can include information requests. So you can see here, partway down the email, I've got a secure upload link. So as well as having workflows and as well as having the email integration, Pixie also has a secure document portal built into it, which means you can request file securely or send file securely to your clients from directly inside this workspace. You don't need to use a third-party application or pay a subscription for anything else. You can do it from right in here. So what this means is that this automated email will go out as soon as this job has started. It's letting the client know exactly what we're doing, what information we need, and it gives them a link to upload that information. So you're taking that really time-consuming information requesting process and you're automating it with email templates. Now, I will be completely honest with you. I'm not trying to sell you a silver bullet here. Automated emails will not solve everything. There will always be clients that kind of drag their feet and don't want to send things on time. That will always be the case. Unfortunately, unless you fire all of the bad clients and you're only left with incredible clients, then it's probably likely that you'll have a few people that do that. But what these automated emails will do is take away a hell of a lot of the heavy lifting that's involved in chasing your clients. which is a huge time saver for many firms. You know, even if you have a handful of clients, this can save you an enormous amount of time. As I move through the rest of this process, I've got a number of different steps here. All of these are completely flexible and customizable. These are just drag and drop options. You can move them up and down, and everything in these boxes, again, is completely customizable. So you can really build out your own processes here, or just use them as they come inside Pixie. What you'll notice on this step here is that I've got some checklists as an example, I've got some links, and I've also got a training video. And really just to nail home that consistency piece, having this level of detail within your processes and workflows really fine tunes the consistency, because it's very difficult now for your team members that are following this to fail, because they've got the checklist, they've got the links they need to click on, and they've got a training video to watch, which makes it very easy for them to follow, and it also makes it very easy for you to train new team members at a later stage. Once you've got these workflow templates configured, what you can then do is just apply them to all of your clients. So for example, if I choose my monthly bookkeeping one, click on here, I can see which clients I've got monthly bookkeeping turned on for, and you can see the dates when those tasks will next be created. So in this case, it's going to be the 5th of April, which is the first Monday in April. If I want to turn bookkeeping on for more clients, all I need to do is toggle these switches on, click schedule, and that will create those tasks in the background. And then as soon as the 5th of April comes around, those tasks will pop up, the automated emails will go out, and the whole process will kick into action. The last kind of section that I want to show you, I'm just conscious of time, is really kind of combining that control piece and that capacity piece into one. So if I go to the work tab in Pixie, what you've got here is your very own to-do list. And all of these tasks here are ones that I need to work on personally. If I click into the actual task itself, I've got all the information I need to complete the actual task, including information here on the right-hand side. I can see here step number 1, inform client that the task has started, was an email that went out to the client, letting them know that I'm starting the task and asking for information. And then all I need to do is work through these and tick them off as I go along. So straight away, it just gives you a bit more control over the tasks that you're working on. But if you've got team members, it also gives you control over the tasks that they're working on, because straight away here on this team tab, I can see exactly who's in my team. And if I click on one of their names, I can see exactly what they're working on. So right now I can see that Joey's got 40 tasks, a lot of them are overdue, which tells me he's over capacity. So it's very easy for me to come in here and to start reassigning things off to different people. I simply click reassign, I choose a different person, I move it onto their plate. So it's quite easy to manage your team members' deadlines and capacity levels in terms of allocating and delegating tasks inside Pixie. And the last section that I want to show you in terms of having that control is the work report. Because what this work report does is it allows you to report on the state of work within your practice. So if I use these filters here, I can ask it to show me, for example, all of the tasks that are due before the end of the month, where the label is either in review or waiting for the client. Click apply. I can see here that I've got one bookkeeping task that's in review that's due before the end of the month. If I then wanted to run a different report, I could say, actually, show me all of the tasks due before the end of the month that are bookkeeping tasks. So I might find my monthly bookkeeping template here. If I can find it in my list, I've got too many templates. Click apply. I can see how I've got 31 monthly bookkeeping tasks that I need to do before the end of the month. I'm also able to see exactly who's working on them here, any labels that have been applied. So it really gives you that level of control over the work that's in progress and the work that's going on within your practice. I'm very conscious of time, that we've only got 7 minutes left. So Gabrielle, I might hand it back over to you at this stage so that you can start sharing your slides again.
I have to unmute myself. That's helpful, huh? So let me share this. So if anybody here is excited about Pixie the way I was when I first saw it, you can get a free, no strings attached 30-day trial to try it out and see if it's a good fit for your practice. We wanted to make sure that you have that available to you, but we want to take another poll to find out, would you like to try a trial of Pixie? And of course, you know, it's just answer what's the best fit for you. Let me open this poll. There we go. Now the panel's working for me. And let me launch it. Just answer on the screen. It just helps us to know where you're at, because we know some people were using Excel spreadsheets, other were using some other practice management. So we're not sure whether or not this is something that would be helpful to you or not. And we'll give you a few seconds. And also, if you missed one of the other polls, you really do want to answer this so that you can get your CPE credit. And we'll hold it open for just a few more seconds. And also, if you do have any questions about anything that I covered, that's what we're going to do next, is answer questions, if there are any. And then also anything that Jordan covered in just giving you a taste, really, of what Pixie can do. It can do quite a bit more than he showed, but he showed you some of the juicy pieces. So I will close the poll down. If you need to vote again, please do so now. And we'll do so in 3, 2, and last call, 1. And let's answer if there are any questions. I'm not seeing any right now. So do you see any in there, Jordan? And if we don't have questions,
no, I can't see any that have been asked.
Okay. Well, that means could mean a couple things. Either everybody's just trying to absorb everything that we said and saying, yep, I'm going to take action, and that's a good thing. Or if you have questions later, of course, you can reach us at, I believe in my profile, you have my email address, or also you could reach out to Pixie and get your questions answered if you have them. So let me give you your key takeaways today for what we covered, is to focus on those 4 key management areas, those 4 C's of capacity, communication, consistency, and control. And if you can get those working smoothly, you will have an amazing bookkeeping practice that will grow and become anything that you want it to, because it is a balancing act and it's always changing. But when we realize that these are the areas that we need to keep functioning, those are the plates to keep spinning, it makes it a whole lot easier so that we don't end up in chaos, or can pinpoint where chaos might be brewing and be able to kill it when it's small, so that everybody is supported. Also address your challenges with the systems and support to support your practice. So that means using the PPT formula of people plus processes and also technology, getting them all in place to fit and handle whatever chaos may be rearing its head towards you. And then track your progress as you work on each of these areas. We asked you questions about what did you want to focus on, and then once you get that handled, well, then what are you going to do next? Well, we gave you in the handout, that chaos buster checklist so that you can track your progress, because that will help you build momentum. And is there a question in here? We just have some comments in the questions box. So that's all we have for right now. We do recommend, of course, if Pixie sounds like it's something that's helpful to you, great. If you have other systems and you want to use the principles of what we covered, that's great too. So we hope that you had some value from this. And Jordan, do you have any final words for our group today?
Yeah, if anyone does want to find out more about Pixie, please feel free to start a trial. There is, you can cancel anytime, no credit cards required. And once you do, you'll be able to book a walkthrough with one of the team, and they'll be more than happy to show you around and show you just how easy it is to get your workflow templates set up and working.
Yes, yes. That's what I love about it. It's simple and flexible, and that's not something you find too often. So whatever tech you're using, I would recommend, this is coming from somebody who's been in business for a long time and using tech for a long time. Always when you're evaluating an app, you want it to be simple and flexible, because that combo is tough to find. If you find that, then you pay extra attention to that app and see, is it going to fit the needs of your practice? So that's my final advice. And we are right on time. So with that, I will thank you, Jordan, for being here today, and thank you everyone who joined us and participated. We are happy to have you here, and we hope that you are leaving us better than when you came.
Thank you. We appreciate having y'all here today. Thank you so much. And with that, we have come to the conclusion of today's webinar. We here at CPA Academy will process your credit later today. That, along with a copy of this webinar and evaluation link, will be available in your CPA Academy accounts within 24 hours. Thanks again to our presenters, Gabrielle and Jordan, for their great content, and our members for your participation. Please check the schedule on our website for additional information, and we hope to see you on a future webinar. Have a great day, everyone.